Hey, how's it going, fight fans? Welcome to Mindful Combat. If you're new to this channel, my name's Rohan. This is my platform where I do MMA and boxing related content. If you're new here, why don't you help me to grow my channel? All you got to do is hit the subscribe button, like the video, dislike it if you don't like it, and maybe get involved in the conversation in the comment section below. With that said, for this video I'm going to be breaking down the upcoming main event between Jorge Masvidal and Nate Diaz. This is one of my most anticipated fights of the year because these are two of my most favourite fighters fighting all time. Actually, Nate Diaz's older brother, Nick Diaz, is my favourite fighter of all time. Not who I think is the best fighter, it's just my personal favourite fighter of all time. And this fight, really, I just cannot wait for it. It's kind of crazy to think about it as well, because if someone would have told you coming into this year that the main event of Madison Square Garden in November will be Jorge Masvidal versus Nate Diaz for a title of some sorts in the UFC, with Nate Diaz, not having fought since the Conor McGregor fight, coming off a loss, and Jorge Masvidal coming off back-to-back losses to start off this year, not having fought since 2017 when he lost to Stephen Thompson, you would have thought they're crazy, but it's crazy and it's one of the biggest fights of the year. It may even be the biggest fight of the year by the time the year's done, and that's just absolutely insane to think about. Let's break down this fight and let me give you guys my thoughts on who I think takes the fight. So the first thing to note is that they're both 34 years of age. They've both been around for a long time. They're both exactly the same age. They're both veterans of the sport. They're both meeting each other exactly where they are. I don't think neither of them are washed up. I don't think at 34 years of age, neither of them have started to diminish or on the tailspin. Maybe they're in the twilight of their careers, but I still think they've got a good few years before they can be considered washed up. And actually, in a lot of ways, I feel like their layoffs may have helped them prolong their careers a little bit. And let's see how this fight plays out. Jorge Masvidal comes into this fight with 47 professional fights in the world of mixed martial arts. He has a record of 34 wins and 13 losses. He's been around for a long time. His record shows it. He's fought a lot of guys on a lot of promotions, from bare knuckle in Kimbo's backyard to Bulldog to Strikeforce to Bellator, UFC. He's been around for a long time. He fights Nate Diaz, a long-time UFC vet who has a professional record of 20 wins and 11 losses. He's had 31 professional fights. These guys have had a lot of professional experience between them. Jorge Masvidal was slightly shorter than Nate Diaz, standing at 5'11", whereas Nate Diaz stands at 6 foot tall, which makes him about an inch taller than Jorge Masvidal. Jorge Masvidal also has a slight reach disadvantage to Nate Diaz with a 74-inch reach. Nate Diaz has a 76-inch reach. Considering Nate's a boxer, that should be interesting to see how this fight plays out. When it comes to their style, I would say Jorge Masvidal is a bit more of an all-round fighter. I think he prefers to strike, but he's got a good diverse range of striking. He's got good kicks, good body kicks, as you saw against Darren Till. He just KO'd Ben Askren with a flying knee, but he's also a great boxer. He's got great clean combinations, and he has used his boxing. He's actually fought professionally as a boxer before. Nate Diaz, well, he's a pressure boxer. He likes to use his cardio, implement pressure, be in the opponent's face the entire time, not give them a break, and he likes to break his opponents down as the fight goes on. Let's look at some of their key wins coming into this fight. So Jorge Masvidal's best 2 wins of his entire career, actually his 2 most recent wins. That's his wins over Ben Askren. He KO'd him with a flying knee in 5 seconds, which is absolutely insane. And he took out Darren Till in a competitive fight, but that was a great win for Jorge Masvidal. Prior to that, he had beaten Don Cerrone to cap off a 3-fight win streak, which was a great win. He's beaten Jake Ellenberger, which is a good win. And if you look further down in his career, he's beaten Michael Chiesa. Actually gave Michael Chiesa his first ever loss. And he beat James Krause and Tim the Dirty Bird Means, guys who I respect tremendously. Nate Diaz has beaten the likes of Anthony Pettis in his most recent fight. He beat Conor McGregor as well in that most infamous fight now at UFC 196. He beat Michael Johnson, who at the time was a top tier contender, and he's also beaten the likes of Don Cerrone among other wins. They've both got really good resumes coming into this fight. The issues for Jorge Masvidal in this fight, I believe, is going to be that he's too willing to engage on Nate Diaz's terms. He's a fighter as Jorge Masvidal, and he's going to be happy to get involved in a fight the way that Nate Diaz wants to fight. And for Nate Diaz, his issue is going to be his susceptibility to leg kicks, and Jorge Masvidal having a diverse range of striking, I believe he can utilise that to his advantage, and I wouldn't be surprised to see a leg kick heavy game plan from Jorge Masvidal. The X factor in this fight for Jorge Masvidal is going to be his all-round game, and B, his kicks. He's got great kicks, and I believe he can do some damage to Nate Diaz, who has started to check some kicks now, but has he implemented that in the game as a permanent fixture? Let's see. It should be really interesting to see how that plays out. Nate Diaz, his X factor is going to be his cardio, his conditioning. He always prevails in a 5-round fight. That should be interesting to see how that plays out. I was going to say inactivity coming into his fight was going to be an issue as well. Actually, let me just quickly mention that, but I changed my mind now just because he fought so recently and he's shook off a lot of that in that tough fight with Anthony Pettis. Let's get to my prediction. So this is a very, very intriguing fight. Both of these guys are great grapplers. Nate Diaz is famed for his Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and actually demonstrated some improved wrestling against Anthony Pettis. George Masvidal also has great grappling. You saw Damian Maia wasn't able to submit him. And if you want to go ahead and search George Masvidal versus Anthony Pettis and watch their grappling match, you'll see what I mean about George Masvidal having much better grappling than people expect. He's actually a very, very talented grappler. However, I believe all of that to be inconsequential because I think this fight is going to be fought completely on the feet. I believe they're going to engage each other in the center of the cage and give fans exactly the type of fans that fight the fans are expecting. I think they're going to get into a striking fight, and I think over the course of 5 rounds, it's going to be very, very back and forth, very interesting. I believe that Nate Diaz will win the later rounds. Rounds 4 and 5, I believe, will be Nate Diaz's to win. I believe his pressure is going to make difference. But George Masvidal is a tough man. I don't think that he's going to be able to finish George Masvidal. Now that poses a question. Do I think George Masvidal is going to do enough early in the fight to be able to get the win? Yes, I do. So I believe that the early rounds are going to be consisted of striking exchanges where George Masvidal finishes with leg kicks, does some damage early, and wins the striking exchanges and scores the more points. As the fight wears on, I believe to him to slow down and Nate Diaz to pick up, but I don't think it's going to be enough. I believe it will be a case of too little, too late, almost like Conor McGregor, Nate Diaz 2, where his cardio kicked in and Conor was shot, but it was too late. Conor had already done damage. I believe this fight will be similar. George Masvidal hits hard and Nate Diaz is hittable. So he may even get dropped in the process. I don't think Nate will be finished, however. On the feet, I believe that Nate's going to hold his own and give George Masvidal some trouble, or as I like to say, he'll give him some chili sauce. But chili sauce or not, I do believe that Nate Diaz is going to start to struggle as the fight goes. George Masvidal is going to start to struggle as the fight goes on. However, I believe he would have laid his foundation early to be able to get the win. So I believe that George Masvidal is going to be able to outstrike Nate Diaz early to be able to ride himself to a win. So fight fans, for my official prediction, I'm picking George Masvidal to get the unanimous decision, maybe a 48-47 kind of type of fight. It's a really good fight. They're very close. It's a very 50-50 fight, and I wouldn't be surprised at all to see Nate Diaz wins. Whoever wins, I honestly don't care. I'm a big fan of both men, and I'll be happy to see both of them with a belt wrapped around their waist. Any type of belt, I don't really give a shit. I just want to see a UFC belt wrapped around their waist. Anyways, guys, why don't you comment below with your predictions? Let me know how you see the fight, guys. And let me know what you thought about my breakdown. If you're new to the channel, like I said, please subscribe to help me grow my channel. Help me hit that 1K, which I'm inching towards now. Anyways, guys, I'm Rohan. This is Mindful Combat. Thank you for watching.